To new explorers, the Bible can seem like a maze. How do you find your way around? Is there some kind of code to get to a specific spot in this big book of many books? In today's video, we'll take a look at the Bible's structure along with how to read the scripture references we might find.
Hello everyone, welcome back to One More Word. Thanks for joining us for part 3 of the Meet the Word series. See the information card above for part 2 if you missed it. Also, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. With that said, let's get right into it.
Number 1. What format does each book of the Bible take?
The books of the Bible are divided into chapters of varied lengths, and each chapter is then divided into subsections called verses. Here are some examples.
The book of the Bible with the most chapters, 150 of them, is the book of Psalms, whereas the shortest book of the Bible is 2 John. It has one chapter made up of 13 verses, but technically it could be said not to have a chapter at all, since there isn't more than one.
The shortest verse of the Bible is John 11 verse 35. It's only one sentence, 2 words more specifically.
The lengths vary. The books of the Bible are all broken down into chapters, for the most part, that then break up into smaller parts called verses. That's the rule of thumb.
Number 2. How then can we find our way around all these books, chapters, and verses? Just like with a library's database or a legal document, the Bible has reference numbers. Say we saw this Bible reference, Psalm 23, verse 4. The word Psalm refers to the book called Psalm. The first set of numbers that follow it, 23, indicates the chapter's number. Here, the 23rd chapter of the book. The next number, the one after the colon, reveals the verse we are referencing in that chapter.
So, to find this passage, we would open up the Bible, find the book of Psalms by looking in the table of contents if necessary. And once there, we would make our way to the 23rd chapter of the book of Psalms, perhaps the most popular chapter in all of Scripture. Then, we would move our finger down to the little number 4 to read verse 4.
Let's do one more. What if you saw this reference? 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 16. Note here that there is a number that comes before the name of the book, which here is the book of Peter. This first number, the number 2 in this instance, is telling us that there are at least 2 books called Peter, and that we are referring to the second book of Peter. The number following the name of the book, number 1, refers to the first chapter of that book, and the number after the colon indicates the 16th verse of chapter 1. Let's do one last example. You come across this reference, Obadiah 12. Naturally, we think Book of Obadiah, chapter 12. But when you get to this book, you notice that there is only one chapter, or technically no chapter at all, just some verses. The number 12 here would then refer to the 12th verse rather than the 12th chapter, because there is no 12th chapter.
Number 3. How do we read Bible references? There are several ways to read a Bible passage reference, and all of them are correct. Pick what you like. Let's try some. We would read the reference Psalm 23, 4 like this. Psalm 23, verse 4. Psalm chapter 23, verse 4. Psalm chapter 23, 4. Or Psalm 23, 4.
What if you saw this? Psalm chapter 23, verses 1-4. We would read it as Psalm 23, verses 1-4. Psalm chapter 23, verses 1-4. Psalm 23, 1-4. Or Psalm chapter 23, 1-4. The goal here is to read chapter 23, starting with verse 1 and ending with verse 4.
If we see this reference, Psalm 23, we would read it as Psalm 23 or Psalm chapter 23. Because there are no specific verses listed here, we know that the intent is to read the entire chapter.
A reference like 2 Peter chapter 1 would be read like so. 2 Peter 1 verse 5. 2 Peter chapter 1 verse 5. 2 Peter 1 5. Some may even say 2 Peter rather than 2 Peter, but this is less common.
How would we read a book like Obadiah, which has only one or perhaps no chapters? Obadiah 12. We'd simply say Obadiah verse 12 or Jude verse 2, Philemon verse 25, etc. Yet, others may cite the one chapter as Obadiah chapter 1 verse 12 or Jude 1 verse 2 or Philemon 1 verse 25.
As you can see, there are many ways to express Bible passage references. As you continue to watch our videos, you'll often hear us refer to various parts of the Bible, and you'll get used to hearing and finding them.
I think this is a good place to stop for today. Why don't you leave a comment below letting us know if you've learned something new from today's video. Please don't forget to like and share as well. Before we go though, a parting quiz.
Please fill in the blanks with the correct answers. Take a few seconds, or you can simply pause the video to have more time. The Bible is broken up into blank, and each blank is broken up into blank, which are then further broken down into subsections called blank.
The correct answers would be: the Bible is broken up into books, and each book is broken up into chapters, which are then further broken down into subsections called verses.
Did you get all the correct answers? Did you get some of them? Please join us next time for part 4 of the Meet the Word series. But until then, may the Word be a lamp to your feet
And a light to your path.